President Trump was facing a literal economic storm walking into the White House on January 20th, 2025. Things were not good, okay? Joe Biden handed him an absolute disaster. Liberals are screaming from the rooftops, sitting there saying, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that President Trump won the election. I have some bad news for them. If Joe Biden's economy was as good as they said it was, then President Trump would have not been our president right now. They would have attributed any economic success to Kamala Harris, who was Joe Biden's vice president. But it was a disaster. And so that's why they reelected this man. And today we got some incredible economic updates that I'm going to share with you. And my name is Clayton Kearns from TrendingPolitics.com. But before we get started, my name is Clayton Kearns from TrendingPolitics.com. Please make sure to subscribe to this channel and like this video. That's all we need from you. Just like the video, it helps us out so much. So let's get right into it. This morning, we got some incredible inflation news. The February CPI inflation falls to 2.8%, below the expectations of 2.9%. This is progress. This is a big win. Again, President Trump has been in the White House for less than 2 months. We're on day 52 or 53, okay? This was not just going to be a, hey, snap our fingers. He stepped into an absolute mess. Core CPI inflation falls to 3.1%, below expectations of 3.2%. This marks the first decline in both headline and core CPI since July of 2024, okay? Inflation is cooling down in the United States. Isn't that insane? Since July of 2024. Because right now a lot of liberals are sitting there saying, well, the economy was already recovering under Biden and President Trump just stepped back in. No. This is the first time that both headline and core CPI inflation has declined in, 7-8 months? Yet for some reason, the left is still sitting here saying that Trump is doing a horrible job. This is progress, and this is exactly what we voted for. In fact, the numbers are so good that even CNN is admitting that inflation is going in the right direction. Take a look.
Finally, we have some good news on the economy and really the number one issue for many Americans, the cost of living. So we just learned that consumer prices in February increased by 2.8% year over year, 0.2% month over month. Both of these figures were a step in the right direction, and both were better than expected. So this is definitely very encouraging to see, because it's going to, I think, relieve some fears that inflation was perhaps re-accelerating, because this actually breaks a streak of 4 straight months where I think you could see it on the chart all the way to the right, where the inflation rate was going in the wrong direction, right? It was going higher and higher.
So 4 straight months. Let me zoom in here a little bit. For 4 straight months, okay, so Biden was not ending off strong here. I want to make sure you can see this. For 4 straight months, okay, which is like this year towards the end, inflation was going in the wrong direction. President Trump gets his feet under him, finally. Again, he's doing a million things. It's not like he can just snap his fingers and all the world's problems are going to be solved, okay? He steps in, and now we're almost 2 full months in, and look at that spike downward. And that means that things are at least going in the right direction. And that means for a lot of different things. Eric Doherty here tweeted, let's recap Trump's failing presidency. Egg prices are falling, which I'll show you here in a second. Gas prices are falling, which I'll show you here in a second. Inflation is falling, which I just showed you. Many investments worth billions of dollars are coming into the USA are being announced every other day. We've seen it from chip makers, from all these entrepreneurs, Apple. Everyone is committing hundreds of billions of dollars into the US economy. Russia and Ukraine are about to hit a ceasefire deal. Israel and Hamas are closer to peace than they ever were under Joe Biden, and Eric says, this is exactly what I voted for in November of 2024. Trump's rapid response team just simply tweeted, core inflation, often called the best measure of inflation, is at its lowest level in nearly 4 years. Can anyone tell me what's different? What's different in our country from 4 years ago? I really can't think. If anyone has any ideas, let me know what's different now than what we had for the past 4 years. I just simply can't think of what it is. And all those liberals sitting there saying that Trump has a failing presidency and oh my gosh, we would have been so better under Kamala. Well, a brand new national poll from our very own Quantus Insights, who actually nailed the 2024 election, they were the number 2 most accurate pollster in the entire country, says the following. 1 month into Trump's term, If the 2024 election were held again today, who would you vote for? Trump winning 52-46. Before the election, Qantas Insights didn't even have Trump winning by this much. But post, nobody has buyer's remorse. Nobody has buyer's remorse. And liberals can sit there and say from the top of the roofs, I just can't believe we voted for Trump. At the end of the day, the United States had two options, Trump or Kamala. And nobody wanted to take a gamble on Kamala because she was going to offer no tangible, real change. She straight up said that she would have not changed a thing that Joe Biden did, and clearly the American people are happy with what they're seeing, and they are willing to be patient despite the turbulence from the tough talking negotiation from Trump about tariffs and everything else going on. And as we said earlier this week, the stock market might have a little bit of turbulence. But President Trump knows exactly what he's doing, okay? He is trying to get interest rates down so we can refinance our debt at a reasonable rate. But this man has always been a cheerleader for the stock market. There's a very specific reason why short term he's willing to take a couple licks in the stock market. He wants to get things out of the way now instead of having this happen in 2026, 2027, right when he's about to leave office. And then there's this whole like, oh my God, or like say 2027, 2028. And there's this whole narrative of like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that, the economy and the stock market is falling. No, let's get the tough things out of the way. For instance, when someone wants to lose weight, guess what you got to do? You got to eat less. And that sucks. And it really hurts throughout your day. But at the end of the day and months later, you have results that you're happy with. And that's what we need to do for our economy. We need to implement tariffs. We need to be tough talking on these negotiations. Find a middle ground when it comes to these tariffs. But at the end of the day, our country will be stronger. And Tom Lee, famous investor that everyone is always talking about it, saying that the sell-off from this week is actually a bit of an overreaction and things are not as bad as everyone is saying.
Why do you say overreaction?
Well, yesterday really was an indiscriminate selling day. Did Tesla's valuation and fundamentals drop 15%? Did the broad market have a 4% decline in valuations? To us, it really looked like a lot of liquidation. I think investors are, of course, reacting to the White House warning of pain ahead, but it has been more of an equity sell-off than it has been in corporate bonds. So to us, 4% down days, yeah, I think it's an overreaction.
So it's an overreaction. People don't know how to respond when the status quo is challenged. And President Trump is doing things that most politicians aren't doing. They're willing to suffer a little bit of short-term pain for long-term gain. And Oguz O, who has a really good Twitter account, I recommend everyone go follow him. He wrote this whole thread on Trump and his strategy. And he ends it by saying, Trump's strategy may be working. Recession fears present easing in credit, and Treasury yields are also trending down. A month ago, the market was expecting 1 to 2 rate cuts, but now it sees 2 to 3 rate cuts. And if rates go down into the end of this year, you guys, 2025 might be the most turbulent year that we have in the stock market, and everything else is going to be great. I'm not saying it's going to go up in a straight line, but we're going to be in a really good position. Here's what Trump had to say here on our economy today in the White House. Actually, this is just under an hour ago. Let's take a look at what he has to say.
Financially, we'll be stronger than ever before. I think the markets are going to soar when they see what's happening. I'll tell you what, I'm called every day by numerous big companies. I spoke at the Business Roundtable yesterday. They had the largest attendance they've ever had. And these are only the CEOs and chairmen, but mostly the people that run, the boss, the people that run the top 150 companies. 150 people showed up. Every single company showed up. First time it ever happened. It's been around a long time. The biggest business leaders. We had a great discussion. It went really well. And I want to tell you, there's tremendous optimism out there about our country in terms of regulations being cut, in terms of taxes being cut. And it would be great if the Democrats would do what's right. It would be great if the Democrats would do what's right for our country for a change, because they really are. They've lost their way. They've lost their way.
And the reporter sitting there saying, what do you have to say about all the volatility in the markets? As if there's never been any volatility in the markets until President Trump stepped in. Does anyone remember that Joe Biden had a brutal bear market starting in 2022, going into the mid-2023? It was horrible. Go look at the S&P 500 from like 2022 until about a year and a half. It was not good. It was tough sledding. And the Democrats don't seem to care too much about that. They don't seem to talk about that. Buck Sexton here, conservative pundit, says, ignore the noise. The Trump economy will boom. He's much better at this than his haters. Plus, we just had a dementia puppet in charge for 4 years, yet the economy didn't collapse. It's all going to be fine. A little static now, and then things will take off. Rome wasn't built in a day. Okay? So you guys, Trump knows what he's doing. Do we really think that Trump, every single thing he has always done has been strategic? It's been calculated. He understands the power of his words. He understands the power of actions. Okay? He is 80 plus years old, and he has been in this financial world for basically his entire life. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's not trying to sit here and do something that's going to harm the country in the long term. Even if the tariffs are a negotiating tactic for right now, let it be. Let it be. In the long term, our country is going to have a much, much stronger foundation. Let's take a look here at the egg prices, like I told you. Okay? Like I said, or like Buck says, Rome wasn't built in a day. Not everything is just egg prices weren't just gonna fall. I actually have some friends of mine that are not Trump supporters, and they were tweeting out like 2 or 3 weeks into Trump's administration, well, I guess egg prices aren't dropping. That's crazy, isn't it? Egg prices aren't dropping. The economy's not. Do we really think that you could just snap your fingers? Like, Trump is not God. He is not just a miracle worker. It actually takes work, which is something that the Joe Biden administration was never doing. And so, yeah, egg prices didn't spike right away, but look at that, or did not drop right away. But look at this. In just a couple weeks into March, we are seeing a huge decline. The average price of eggs, dollars per dozen, was above about $8 in early March, and now it's around $5, okay? So this is here, a look at the market. Let's make sure that you can see this here. So again, the S&P 500 right now, still a bit of volatility today. The market started way higher when the inflation came in better than expected. And then it dipped a little bit, and then now it's coming back up. So I would just say that expect some volatility. You know, things are going to be volatile. It looks like the Dow is slightly in the red right now as I say this. We have about 2.5 hours left to go in the market. Gold is just staying strong and staying resilient as always. If you are interested in using gold to shield your portfolio from all the chaos, from the tariffs, from the inflation, there's a free guide. There's a free guide below in the description that will show you exactly how to do that from one of our sponsors. It's actually incredible. I read through it and I highly, highly recommend you download it. It's 100% free, but it's kind of crazy. You know, our company, we've been pushing gold for a long time now. And a year ago, if people would have been, listening to us in March 26, 2024, gold was at $2,100 and is now at $2,900. Okay, these people know what they're talking about. So we have that free gold guide in the description. Please make sure to go check that out. But ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, February, like the inflation now is going in the right direction, and I am looking forward for the things to come because we got a lot of time left. I actually was just like an anti-Trumper friend of mine was texting me all morning and last night, sitting here saying, wow, I guess the economy isn't doing great. What happened to your boy? And I'm like, we're 50 days in. The guy you voted for, Joe Biden, he wrecked the economy, and Trump was elected in part because of it. So why are you going to sit here and judge the Trump presidency off of 50 days when we have 4 years, basically 3.5 years or more to go, okay? The administration has 1,440 days or more. We're 50 days in, 52 days. There's still a lot of time. It doesn't matter where we are at this moment. It matters where we're going and where we end up. And I know that we're going to come out of this on top. So Please make sure, if you're still watching, this has been a long video. I really appreciate you sticking around. Please make sure to like this video. It helps us out so much. And subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And by the way, if you're still watching me after all these minutes and you're not subscribed, come on, what are you doing? We gotta subscribe, gotta step it up. So have a great rest of your Wednesday, and I will be updating you more throughout the week. Talk to you soon.